Hello, YouTube. This is Darkon633 back with another Transformers review. Today we're going to take a look at the Transformers Power of the Primes Deluxe Class Dinobots Swoop. Now, since I do not have the original G1 release, especially because of how expensive and fragile the original release was, I'm really glad to actually get a hold of a new updated version based on its G1 appearance. Unfortunately, as you can see with the box here, which we'll look at now, Toys R Us didn't do so good in the way that they packaged it, so it's pretty bent out of shape, which is unfortunate. But it does have a picture of Volcanius on the side, which I now remember the name. Has a picture of his beast mode there, and another picture of his beast mode there. Shows that he transforms in 11 steps and has a bio on the back as normal. So now we're going to take a look at Swoop. Since I do not have the original G1 release, I'm just going to do a little quick comparison with another version of Swoop, which I actually do own. And that's the animated one, which definitely this version is not based on the G1 design, even though the character aesthetics are there. But it's still nice to actually see a new representation of this character finally get released in the Generations toy line. Now we're going to take a look at articulation points. The head is on a swivel, unfortunately, just due to the way that it's designed. I think it might be on a ball joint, but due to this head design, there isn't a whole lot of movement there. He does have articulated wings, which do kind of get in the way if you don't position them properly, but at least you can bend them forward and back. He has ball joints at the shoulders, but unfortunately the wings do get in the way, and there is no way to actually bend this completely outwards, since it only bends up and down. He does have swivels at the elbows, ratchets at the elbows as well, and he does have joints at the hands for transformation. He does have a waist joint, but you do need to unpeg the beak in order to get into it. He has ball joints at the hips, swivels at the thighs, a little bit more than 90 degrees for a knee, and feet can pivot a bit due to transformation. So, we're going to move on from there, but for that, we're going to take a look at the other accessories that this figure includes. One is that he includes his sword, which is unfortunate that the other Dinobots do not have their swords or guns, depending on which Dinobot it is, but it is nice that at least he has one weapon. He does include the hand-foot piece, which he can use as a shield, actually. For some reason, the instructions say that he can actually use this as a shield, but because of the way he holds it, it's not quite what I think it should look like. He does include the character card, and my version is Onyx Swoop, so that's pretty cool. So now we'll move on to transformation and take a look at his Pterodon mode. Take a look at his Pterodon/Pterodactyl mode. The original G1 design had a bunch of wheels that are at the bottom, but in this version it's just pretty much just a flat bottom there. He does have articulated feet in this mode, which is pretty cool, and because of that you can actually put him into this kind of perch stance, so that's really awesome that you can actually do that, since that is something that the G1 toy and design could do. He does have an articulated beak, which can open and close, which is a little bit tricky to get into due to the way that the beak is positioned, but it still is pretty cool, and it actually has some detailed teeth and a little bit of a tongue design inside, so that's pretty awesome. You can take the weapon and place it onto his back here. So basically what it does is that you take these pegs which are right there, and it pegs onto these holes that are on the side here. From there you just plug them in, but it's a little bit tricky to actually get them in there. But you can position this properly, and it should plug in like that. So that's pretty cool that you can actually do that, since it does work for the beast mode. And you can actually store the sword in this mode, but it's a little bit strange how you actually do so. Basically what you're going to do is take this clear peg, and it's going to peg underneath the beak here. So now you got him kind of armed up with this weapon there. So that's just kind of a very weird decision in my opinion, where you can actually store the weapon. As a comparison, here is Swoop next to the animated Swoop, which is definitely quite different from this release, but it does have a lot of similar design aspects. This one has a little bit of a hard time standing due to the lankiness of his design, but there you go. Unfortunately, it's not picking up well on the camera, but you pretty much get the idea between the two designs. So, I think Hasbro did a pretty good job in his Pteranodon mode. You can use the articulation of the wings, so you can position them whatever way you like, so I think it turned out pretty decently. So in conclusion, I think Swoop turned out pretty nice. And one thing to note is that unlike the other figures that Hasbro's released that are more of the toy design, this time Hasbro opted out to the red coloring of the original Diaclone design and actually went with the show accurate blue. So I appreciate Hasbro actually doing that because they could have easily just made it red and make it more towards the toy design rather than the actual animation design. While this may not be 100% accurate for what I could tell to the Swoop design, it's pretty close to what we've seen in the original G1 animated series. So it's actually really nice to actually get an updated version of this character, and I highly recommend tracking one of these down. As I mentioned in my Slug video, for those who haven't seen it, I actually got this at toysrus.com along with Slug, and think it's really nice that the Dinobots have once again got a really nice upgrade, and I cannot wait to get the final 3 Dinobots to finish up the set. Anyways, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and check out Hero Club and Hero Taku. Also check out Twitter Darkon633, and don't forget to check down the other channels down below. Please check the little bell at the bottom of the screen and receive my content go as soon as possible. And don't forget to check me on Instagram as well under Darkon633. We'll be back with more Transformers reviews, but for now I'll be seeing you later, YouTube. Bye.